The reason that we're here is because the CEO called this press conference and wanted to address members of the media and the people of South Africa about issues that are important. Specifically, there has been a couple of articles that have appeared in the media that have been coordinated, and the CEO felt it was necessary to address these. This is not my platform. I will call upon the CEO of the Road Accident Fund, Letsoalo, to come forward and address this. And while he's coming, he is flanked by his executive team, Sifotle Modiba on his left, Patulu Kwareni on his right, Beniz Potgieter, and Radikwena Pora. Collins, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning to members of the media, to all South Africans, far and wide. We thought that we need to sort of respond, because we've been responding to these matters, but not everyone is able to access the media where some of these things are being said. And I think it's important that we address some of the concerns that are there. One must hasten to add that we in the RAF have been victims of a consistent media campaign that is manufactured. We know very well where it comes from. We are very clear. So today we are going to lay it bare. We are going to give you chronicles of what we call a failed capture of the RAF. Because when people fail in trying to capture some of us, what they've decided to do is come and attack. And in the attack, of course, they use a lot of propaganda. We also know that they've got to the extent of appointing people, competitors of Bell Pottinger, to try and drive a narrative about the RAF. We will, in due course, at the right time, disclose who is involved in this. But the characters are there to be known. And of course, there are what we call the faces of this campaign. And of course, the ones behind it. And we will disclose that with more evidence as we go along. Today is a day where we need to respond quite succinctly to Professor Henny Kloppe. We want to respond to an attorney called Gertnel. We are going to unmask this thing and how it started and how it developed into what it is today, and so that South Africans must know what it is. But as we close, we are going to also deal with aspects of a court order that was released on the 18th of November in the Gauteng division by Honorable Judge Senyatsi, dealing with one of the characters that we are going to also look at, which is Dr. Edele, who is, I think, related to an organization called SAMLA, which people believe can help solve the problems at the RAF, certainly in respect of settlement of claims and assisting us, certainly in mediation. I must say that we had an engagement where SAMLA came and did what we call a pilot study. With these findings about this case, I now hasten to add that it may well have been premature to actually take this thing on face value, because now we understand that Dr. Edeleng is part of this attack on the RAF. We saw this last year around June, where the legal fraternity wrote to the Minister of Justice, the Minister of Transport, and anyone who was willing to listen about the fact that the RAF is collapsing and all the things that they said in there. That spirited campaign of last year lost ground because we then responded and it never went ahead. Now they have done it again. They are writing again, saying things that are disparaging about the RAF management, the board, and everybody else. But I think what must be clear to South Africans is why the legal fraternity find it difficult to deal with this management. And why the likes of Gert Nel will find ways to try and attack us and have this spirited campaign. Since my appointment as acting CEO in 2019 in September, Gert Nel has made sure that he's a brother to me. So if you see the telegram messages we exchange with each other and you ask yourself what has changed, it's a very strange phenomenon, and I'm going to explain this in this way. When we started at the RAF, of course the views of management then were known that we are not going to pursue what we call direct claims. And we are not because we were supporting what Gert Nel thought, but we were saying the current law does not support a direct claim process. Because if you look at Section 19C, when you prosecute a claim, you are not going to find a way in which the RAF must help you prosecute a claim. Because of its intellectually based system, it would mean that RAF is simply suing itself, which is not going to help, because when you do this thing is on the basis of proving your damages. Then we were introduced to LSSA by Gert Nel. He brought people here. He introduced the very same Dr. Edeleng to us. In the process, he introduced a gentleman. He was introduced by a gentleman, by the way, Gert Nel, when I got to know him. The gentleman is the one that you see appearing with him on the podcast, the Mashavela podcast, the one I went to and they wanted to respond. The gentleman is called Ngwakumotalo, and I'm going to explain. I mean, I've known the guy for quite a while. He comes from Limpopo, where I come from, and we have got common accomplices. Now, for a long time immemorial, by the way, these two gentlemen have been trying to get me to go fishing with them. And I've been rejecting that because I thought it was inappropriate. I have refused that for the last 5 years. Part of it being that as the RAF management, we refuse to be captured. We have messages that say keep people on a tight leash and all sorts of manner of things, actually casting aspersions about our investigators in FID, because in earnest, they want us to investigate everyone but themselves. Now, this man called Gert Nel, his law firm, by the way, he used to work here at the Road Accident Fund before he left. He left, I think, in 2001 and went to form a practice. You can imagine how he felt when in 2002, Kathy Satchwell came and said, we think the road accident benefit scheme will help South Africa move forward. A year after he has just formed his practice, coming out of the Road Accident Fund. Having studied the Road Accident Fund inefficiencies,